Sabine and Thomas, why are you attending this election party and staying up all night?
Well, I lived in the US for 1.5 years. I studied in San Francisco with Fulbright, and I still have strong connections. I still have friends here, and I'm still interested in the politics, of course.
I also spent a year with Fulbright in the States at Berkeley, and I still know also a lot of people there, and I share the excitement about this election, and I want to know if the states are ready for the first black president, actually. So that's pretty much why I'm staying here and up all night.
I'm actually not that sure of how much it's gonna change. I think maybe there will be a change, but I don't think that's gonna be as huge as anyone is expecting here now. But I'm gonna be excited how it's gonna be with an black president in the US the first time. So I'm hoping that Obama will win.
I'm here with some students studying abroad in Germany from Bates College in the United States. And my first question for you is, what are your hopes and expectations for the next US president?
Well, if Obama wins, I definitely think it will give sort of a new image for the Americans. I mean, I've been traveling abroad, and I feel like people have, somewhat a very negative and wrong perception of of America. And I feel like if McCain's gonna win, it might somewhat portray a similar image to George Bush. But as for Obama, I feel like it does give somewhat a new and a hope for a new image for the America.
I don't know. I feel like the important thing is that if nothing else, Obama is bringing certain groups of people to the surface of American politics that have been ignored for so long. And, it can be argued that these campaigns to recruit new voters is just a gimmick to win elections, but really it's giving people a voice who have never had it before, and I think that's really one of the most important things that Obama can do for us. And I do think the expectations for the next president are very high in the U.S. Obama himself has recognized that he's got big shoes to fill in terms of what the Americans have imagined for themselves with, what he can fulfill, especially with the hope that he's inspired in so many of us. But that said, I think that really anything that he does has got to be an improvement over the last 4 years, and I think we're all really hopeful about it, and know that we're in a difficult position right now and are ready to have a change.
People in Europe think that by electing a new president, the Americans are evening the ground for renewed transatlantic cooperation. But now that our Americans are doing their part, what do you as Americans expect from Europe? What should Europe do to further transatlantic cooperation?
In terms of issues such as what Obama said, he thinks Afghanistan is very important. I think that the U.S. should perhaps ask Europe for more support in terms of United Nations, maybe sending more diplomats or more troops, just to show or give a point that it's not only the U.S. but the world thinks that there should be a little bit more change, and that we're willing to work with them. And so I think that if Afghanistan or Iraq or Iran see, more than just the U.S. trying to work with them, then perhaps it might inspire them or just might cause them to think, okay, maybe there is something that we can do to make the world a safer place, not only for Americans or Europeans, but for Iranians and Afghanistans as a whole. So perhaps just a little bit more support in terms of United Nations, just being more unison in terms of just politics, not so much gridlock and just trying to get the message across.
What are your hopes and expectations for the next U.S. presidency?
Well, I just hope that in the international community we can get like a better respect and more support from the international community. I just feel like a change of face, even if it doesn't lead to a huge change of policies, can help us with the war on terror, and more support from the European community especially.
A lot of Europeans think that by electing a new president, Americans are evening the ground for renewed transatlantic cooperation on a whole number of issues. But as an American, what do you expect from Europeans now that Americans are doing their part in electing a new president?
Well, like I said, again, more support from the Europeans. I know there's been a lot of anti-Bushism for the last 8 years, and I'm glad to see that Europeans kind of distinguish their anti-Bushism from anti-Americanism, which is a really good sign. So I hope with like a new regime there can be a lot more support for American policies, at least more willingness to cooperate with America, or a more openness to discussion with America than kind of like shutting off, and a more like populist support of American ideas.